Welcome back to Sean's Thoughts. I hope that you are enjoying this beautiful rainy day. Welcome to my second podcast. I was actually going to stand up and walk around and, look for a better place to sit and perhaps film something different. Yet I found this area to be very intriguing, and actually, these filters on the camera I thought are pretty cool as well. I often like looking at unique vantage points, and what we're looking at right now is, I think these are tulips, and they're just sitting there blowing in the wind, and I have this really cool, or at least I think cool, blue filter that I'm using. And so, yes, thank you for joining me today. And what I wanted to talk about today is I wanted to put out a special request. And I've often talked about how it's super important that we spend more time focusing our intentions on those things that we would prefer, meaning the more beautiful things in life, the things that you would rather have in your life, the events and opportunities and whatever it is that makes you feel amazing. And so spending our times focused on those beautiful aspects of life definitely encourage and empower beauty to explode all around us. So what I wanted to do today on my second podcast today, before I do my third, because I know I'll do a third. I know that I'm going to do almost a lot, because there's been a lot of information that I've been looking forward to sharing. And as we draw closer and closer to the end of the road by Boys to Men, I love that song. I always did, another wonderful love song. As we draw closer to where it is that we are arriving at, or that we've already arrived, well, there is honestly so much to talk about. Yet before we get to all that stuff, I want to, as I said, talk about something that is that which makes me happy. And what makes me happy is spending time thinking about the things that I would love to see manifested in my own world. And now, part of this is a technique called dream building. And dream building is focusing your energy essentially on the things that you have. One of the skills or techniques that I had learned is creating something called a dream board. And a dream board is to get this piece of paper. You can sometimes use a board or whatever it is you like. Actually, my hair is falling in my eye. I got one hair flickering in my mouth for whatever reason. Anyways, I had once seen this beautiful woman's dream board, and it was an entire wall where she had pasted and pinned and taped all of the different things that she wanted to own, the experiences she desired to have, the different buildings and the yachts and whatever it is that she had, her own personal desires. She had them as her dream board plastered all over her wall. And I've seen other dream boards like the ones I had, where I put the ideal image of a log cabin that I wanted to live in. I really want to live in a house, for instance, that is surrounded by a forest that's built of wood or any other degree of materials. I've actually seen these houses dome houses actually, that you can have created out of plaster and kind of designed the way that you want to have. And I've also seen this guy's channel from YouTube where he designs all of these amazing self-sufficient, self-sustaining homes that include gardens and farms actually right inside the house. They actually have different water mechanisms where they can essentially trap or contain the rainwater, and then you can use that water. And they have all these different ideas for how the houses can be built, rather than the way that our houses now are reliant on other people. They're reliant on, well, for me, BC Hydro, and they're reliant on natural gas from someone else and such. And so that creates a reliance. And yet I would love to see myself living in a home that's in a forest, surrounded by grass, where I can just simply walk outside, and beneath my feet, my bare feet, I will be grounded by kilometers deep of soil. And so this podcast that I'm sharing with you today is essentially not only how I see the world, more importantly, how I see my world. And perhaps by you sharing in this, just by me speaking my vibration out into the world, many people are going to hear me. And we're going to be speaking to those people soon enough. So let's get to the next part. One of the most interesting vehicles that I have seen created of recent is this Volkswagen ID Buzz. It's a phenomenal looking minivan, we'll call it. It's electric, which, I'm not all for that, because apparently this thing can only drive 213 miles or so when you need to stop and charge it back up. But yet the unique visual of the actual box or the van itself is just phenomenal. There's several different colors. For me, it would be an emerald green, and I hope you're taking notes. For me, it would be an emerald green. It would be completely souped out. It has this amazing extended moonroof and these seats in the back that you could flatten them out and essentially lie them down, put a little bit of cushioning on there and lie up and look at the moon and lie down in the full back. That I can imagine there being 2 or perhaps room for 3 people. An entire family could live back there. Well, not live, but go camping back there, and essentially allow me to drive around anywhere in this world, whether it was the places of Yukon that I would love to visit, or it was, we'll get one dropped off in Greenland where I could drive all around Greenland and see all the amazing sights, or even be taken right to where they make the Volkswagen and drive it all across Europe. And of course, assuming that there's enough power stations in order to not fund it, but run it. Or, I can, at least this being my imagination and my reality, I could get one that was fuel driven. As far as I know, that's not possible, yet in my own reality, let's make it possible. And for those times where I can't rely on them having one of those Tesla charging stations or Esso charging stations that I've seen pop up recently, or actually BC hydro charging stations, perhaps I could drive along in a brand new midnight blue 2026 Nissan Rogue with a moonroof and a better color, like perhaps a light ivory color like they have in the ID Buzzes. I really like lighter colors. I'm not a fan of like darker browns or brown overall. I prefer like charcoal grays is nice, but more importantly, a lighter color. I love taupes and off-whites, but we could even just, put a button in there so I can change the interior when I choose for its color. I'm thinking far outside the box. And so that Nissan Rogue would be an amazing adventure to drive all over North America. Perhaps I could start by going to Garibaldi National Park and flying my drone around and looking for pyramids or lakes or eyes that are all seeing of anything. And, there could be definitely a lot of experiences to be had there too. Or I could drive across America and look for any one of the numerous amount of pyramids that supposedly are all over. I once watched this show called America Unearthed, and he was going around and essentially showing us that there is a large amount of interesting buildings that we would imagine like Aztec not even being there, and yet perhaps we could discover that there are other buildings that come from other times that we are perhaps not aware of. I imagine all of the places that I could drive. For instance, drive over to Niagara Falls and let's turn the falls off. Let's use my focused attention and have the falls stop so that we could perhaps see what is underneath the falls. I watched this video where they were talking about there being Tartarian technology underneath Niagara Falls. Maybe that could be something that I could bear witness to. Or maybe I could have the opportunity to go underneath the Parliament building and look for tunnels and such. That would be cool too. So this whole video that I'm doing right now, whether it will be allowed to come on to YouTube or not, I imagine there being a lot more adventures when reality starts to perhaps align more in alignment with what we would choose to have create. See, one of the talks I'm going to be doing in the upcoming videos that I put out will be about spell casting again, and gossip, and essentially black magic. We'll keep that for later, and we're going to get back on this road of all the things that I would love to do. One of the things that I would really absolutely love to do is to go around the world meeting people that I have learnt from, that I have been guided by, that I have essentially grew with. People such as Carrie Kay in South Africa and Kim Gogan, formerly of Durango, Colorado, and maybe even Kevin Trudeau. Actually, I had an opportunity to meet Kevin a couple times already, although during his seminar he was distant from me. Yet outside of the hotel that I was staying in Chicago, when I was in the actual one of the functions, I had the opportunity to walk over and talk to Kevin, and something told me not to, so I didn't. I just stood there and I watched him and his, I guess now wife, Danielle, and I watched them get into a vehicle and drive away, and I was definitely happy with doing that. A lot of other people that I had known at that time, they wanted to walk up, shake hands, give hugs, and ask and talk and get insight and essentially follow the guru and such. But yet for me, I was happy just to actually see that he was in fact a real being in front of me. And so that's kind of why I would love to have the opportunity to go around the world and run into, or synchronistically meet, all of these different people that I see on the computer. And why I say that is because I believe that what we see on our computer isn't always what's real. And often, especially for me, I've seen so many videos come into my recommendations feed that suddenly come out of the blue. And there's a few actually. There's a Korean man and an older Caucasian man, and they essentially look like AI deep fakes that are talking to me, created from AI scripts perhaps, but they could also be from channel creators that are simply using the beautiful and powerful power of AI to create. Me, myself, and I definitely appreciate AI as a tool for creating. In fact, I often enjoy making these small shorts, and I made one this morning. It's a video of a Pikachu. Of course, it's not the exact perfect Pikachu that you would see on Pokemon, for example. I actually referred to it as Pikachu's second cousin. But I enjoy the ability of AI to create. And yet I often wonder if a lot of these people that I do watch, that their videos could be completely AI created, essentially created in order to convince me, or perhaps encourage me to maybe project or co-create reality in a way that they would prefer. And so I would love to go around meeting not only the people that inspire me in the videos, also the people that inspire me in the comments. I've had some pretty amazing people speak to me in the comments, and I would love to have the opportunity to go around and to meet those people, to put faces and personalities to those interactions which I've been engaging with. There's a few people on my channel. I know I speak before about how not many people or a very few people interact, and I get that. I understand that. Well, I won't go into that right now, why I understand that. I'm saving that for my third video. Yet, I would love to have that opportunity to get in that Rogue or ID Buzz and travel and drive all over the place. I would also love to find resident people that would also equally love to experience a nomadic life. And I don't mean nomadic as in vagabond. I mean nomadic as in people who wanted to live everywhere. See, one of the thoughts that I had as a possible company that could be created would be a house sharing program where rather than there being a monetary value associated which can be taxed by external so-called authorities, that we could create a system where people could share their homes and then move around from place to place and have different living experiences. And each of the homes that we're participating would be fully furnished, therefore not requiring us to carry all of our furniture and our things around with us, and we could live and experience more life. I would love to participate in something like that as well. I would also love, truly love, to be on a cruise ship for an extremely extended amount of time where, of course, I could do podcasts, I could create moving portraits, I could write new poetries, make love, do all of the wonderful, beautiful things that, we'd want to do, but stopping in all the different ports and experiencing all the different cultures and learning all of the different languages and the different truths about the world. That's one thing that I've already had the experience of doing, which most people that I know have yet to experience, and that is traveling. Traveling to the extent that what we see in the world, what we see on the movie screen, what we see in the news, whether it's mainstream news or even alternative news, a lot of that stuff is someone else's perspective. The director's perspective, the producer's perspective, the camera lens's perspective. And yet what is truly out there isn't what we see from behind a screen. See, I've walked across many borders. Think about that for a second. I've walked across country borders. Now, to people of other countries where borders are very close, for instance, in Europe, where the size of one country could equal the size of a quarter of my province, for example, walking across a border probably isn't a very big thing. And yet for me, being in Canada, where the country is massive, where I personally think that my whole province could have and should have probably been its own country, because we have our own distinctive culture, we have our own distinctive history, we have our own distinctive natural resources that belong to us, and yet somehow they're sold by a foreign seating prime minister who trades on our stuff. We've only been part of Canada since, for a very short amount of time. Actually, Canada's only been we can call it a sovereign state for a very even shorter time, somewhere in the 1980s, I think. Anyways, I would love to continue that. I've walked across the borders between, I think it was Belize and Guatemala. I've walked across the borders between, I think it was Thailand and Burma. And I've walked across the borders of America and Tijuana. I've walked across other borders as well. But my point being is that I would love to start walking across more borders. And as I've mentioned before, I definitely foresee a world where visas aren't required to the same degree that they are now. See, when I was growing up, I was actually able to walk across the Canada-American border without a visa, without a passport. I simply had to show them my driver's license, which made sense. They want to keep track of who's coming and going from their country. We didn't need all of these over security precautions. We didn't need to pay for these, fraudulent visas that they charge us in order to collect money. I see visas definitely more so as a penalty for being from a certain country, or a fundraising mechanism that someone's collecting that extra amount of money. And so I would love to do more walking. I talk about having a vehicle, for example, and driving places, sure, but I would love to have the ability just to walk wherever it is that I want to walk. One of the dreams, I'll say, or the experiences that I foresee or I would love to experience is by location. And what bilocation is the ability to transport yourself from one place to another. You can kind of imagine it as a transporter on Star Trek, how they're able to dematerialize a person and then rematerialize them in another place. And whether that's on their ships or that's from one part of the planet to another planet, assuming that there's no electrical interference, that I would love to have the ability to actually do that and to go anywhere. You know, should that be a power or an ability that the Homo sapiens have, you can definitely see that the powers would truly prefer that not to be something that we have the ability to experience, because that would essentially limit us. Just like the idea of free energy that was postulated by Tesla, that energy is all around us, then if you can simply harness that energy, then you no longer need the copper wires that JP Morgan at the time was selling. I hope you're enjoying what I have to say. Like, I'm not even looking at the camera right now. I'm just actually looking at the different experiences that are going on around me. You know, perhaps there are different distractions that are being presented to me, yet I'm choosing to just be so in this moment of imagining the magical, beautiful world that I would choose to experience. I had the amazing opportunity to visit Disneyland in Tokyo, and one of the best parts of that experience, other than being with this amazing woman named Asako, she went with me, she took me there, I think we went twice, but anyways, the best part of that experience was being there with her. Yet the best place there was this place called Toontown, where they made everything look like a cartoon, all of the different buildings, and they had Roger Rabbit and all the different cartoons and such. I would love to have the ability to visualize or see the world in that type of overlay, if you want to call it that, but yet to just create or be a part of a world. That's why I imagine my 5-day adventure course, which I imagine creating, consisting of, I'm just going to turn this other way, consisting of base camps that were essentially inspired by things like Minecraft and Lego and The Hobbit, the Shire and The Hobbit, or the Endor with the Ewoks, houses in the trees. See, I truly do believe that when we spend more time imagining and concentrating on what we could see the world being, like if I could be in a world where love was around every corner, and I wasn't necessarily meaning love as in sexual, love as in just connection. You know, they say a smile is more than 1,000 words, or says more than 1,000 words. And yet I go back to that idea of when we have one person together, we have one horse. When we got two people together, a man and a woman who resonate and are in love, or a man and a man, or a woman and a woman, whatever relationship that you're choosing to relate to. When we have two lovers, and once again, not sexual, but people connected through love, when they create, they are amazing. And when we bring three lovers together, once again, not sexual, just three people connected, binded in love, co-creating together, immense projects can be created. And that's the fundamental idea of my Patreon, which I recently put up a post on Patreon asking, is Patreon fake? Because in each of my videos, I will have put a link to Patreon. And what Patreon is, if you don't know, is a platform for patrons. See, back in the old world, we had a system set up where people who had the ability, or people who loved art and had the ability, of course, as well, they could fund artists. And so some people like Michelangelo or Leonardo, perhaps, or any of these other painters, Picasso, perhaps they had patrons, not just people who would buy the art from them, rather than people that believed or wanted to support that creator. And so what Patreon is, or at least what I've been led to believe it is it's a space where artists can come together and show the art that they have created. Now, the artist that I am is a videographer, I'm a photographer, I'm a playwright, I'm a screenwriter, I'm a director, I'm a producer, I'm a dancer, I'm a singer. I can probably add more. I'm a lover, because definitely love is part of creation as well. The physical part of it, of course, but yet there's also other aspects. Being able to support people, to encourage them. Interestingly enough, I have this fire truck coming around me for the second time when I don't think there's a fire anywhere. Anyways, so Patreon is a place that I joined, and I put up a post on Patreon asking, is Patreon fake? Because, crickets when it comes to any interaction on there. And I would love to draw together communities of people that wish to support and harness the energy and the power of co-creative aspects. YouTube actually put up this really cool function called Invite a Collaborator. And, I would love if anyone's out there that they want to co-create something with me. I'm definitely up and game for that. A long time ago, I actually had a couple people that were offering co-creative or collaboration potentials, and yet I don't know what happened to all that, but yet I put that offer out there. I would definitely, as part of my desire to move forward, would be to co-create projects. Most of the projects I do are co-created with God. Essentially, I work with Source and I create a lot of what I do. I feel Source guide through love and connection, and when I create, I can definitely feel that energy all around me. And yet I would love to sit in that same field with other creative artists. And even with my idea of traveling around, I would love to visit all the different beautiful places, the Marquesas Islands or Costa Rica, or where else? Ireland is another place, or anyways, there's a lot of different places. I would love to go back to Japan and video all of the Okayama cherry blossoms. There's so many different places that perhaps I could spend my time meeting with different people all over the world and bringing our energies together so that we can together create something that will stand the test of time and that will help ripple more beauty and more love and more harmony all throughout our world. The real point right there when I say the word harmony is up to us. It's up to us to bring back harmony to our world and to start creating through our purposeful and intentional conscious creations. So me spending my time sharing with you right now, joyful as all these young voices walk past me right now on their way to the ACT Theater, spending all of this time in that positive, joyful, energetic state of what could be. What possible creations could we create? And if we don't have the opportunity right now to do all those things that I just said, what can you do with what you can do? And then just spread that joy and create, because we are coming so close to revealing a world that, as I said, has always been around us. And yet, perhaps there's still more beauty that we can create. Perhaps the whole reason that the veil has yet to be revealed is that we still have something to create. And I'm always wondering, what is that one thing? And yet that is, in a sense, what pushes me. The fact that what I believe is already here has yet to be revealed because perhaps people are blocking it, it's actually encouraging me to create even more. And so I want to thank God. I want to thank Source, them being the same things. I see God as the source of all things. And I want to thank God for all of the opportunities that have been addressed to me. All of the experiences, however they're viewed at the point in time, how they've empowered me to be stronger and more creative than I've ever been or perhaps remember being. And yet, as I stand up and walk forward, even after I turn off the camera right now, I know there are more beautiful creations. And I hope, I have faith actually, that I'm going to connect with all of those beautiful people, men and women, gay and straight. However it is you choose to express yourself, I definitely have faith that I will resonate and connect and align and therefore interact and intersect, at least for a small portion of time, at a time when we can create a lot more beauty and harmony that then we can move forward together or upon our own separate ways into a ripple effect of love and joy. I want to thank you so much for sharing this second podcast with me today. Those wonderful voices of youth, they are on their way. It's actually starting to get a lot more windy and cold out. I definitely encourage you to reflect upon what I've talked about today. See what resonates with you, leave what behind what doesn't resonate with you, and together we are going to experience a wonderful new earth. Thank you so much love, so much joy. Have a wonderful day.